After almost a month of trying, the military had killed only around 1,000 emus, but this was a fraction of the estimated 20,000 emus causing havoc. Eventually they gave up. Major Meredith and his men were recalled, and the operation was deemed a failure. The newspapers had a field day mocking what they called the Emu War. The year is 1932, a time when the world was grappling with unprecedented economic turmoil. The Great Depression had cast a long shadow across the globe, affecting millions of lives and economies. Australia, heavily reliant on its agricultural exports, felt the sting of economic hardship acutely. The vast farmlands, once a source of prosperity, now symbolized struggle and despair. Farmers in Western Australia, already battling harsh conditions, struggled to stay afloat. The relentless sun and lack of rain turned fertile fields into barren wastelands. The price of wheat, their lifeblood, plummeted. What was once a profitable crop now barely covered the costs of production. Hope dwindled with each passing season as debts mounted and livelihoods hung precariously in the balance. Families watched helplessly as their dreams of prosperity faded. Many farmers had returned from World War I, promised land for their service. They had fought bravely, believing in a future where their sacrifices would be rewarded. They carved out their homesteads from the unforgiving outback. With determination and hard work, they built homes and communities, hoping to create a better life for their families. They cleared the land, planted their crops, and prayed for rain. Each seed sown was a testament to their resilience and hope for a brighter future. But the rains were fickle, and the global economic collapse only exacerbated their plight. The combination of natural and economic disasters created a perfect storm of hardship and uncertainty. Despite the overwhelming challenges, the spirit of the Australian people remained unbroken. Communities came together, supporting one another through the toughest of times. Government relief efforts provided some respite, but it was the resilience and solidarity of the people that truly made a difference. They faced each day with courage, determined to overcome the shadow cast over their land. As if economic despair wasn't enough, the farmers faced another adversary: emus. The Great Depression had already taken a toll on their livelihoods, and now nature seemed to conspire against them. These large, flightless birds native to Australia embarked on their annual migration. Every year they journeyed across the vast landscapes, following the rhythms of the seasons. Following ancient routes, they moved inland, seeking food and water. Their migration was a natural spectacle, a testament to the enduring cycles of life in the Australian outback. Normally their passage would be a fleeting inconvenience. Farmers had learned to coexist with these seasonal visitors, understanding that they would soon move on. But in 1932, the emus arrived in unprecedented numbers. It was as if the entire population of emus had decided to converge on the farmlands at once. Driven by drought in their usual breeding grounds, they descended upon the farmlands in a feathered tide. The lack of water and food in their natural habitats forced them to seek sustenance elsewhere. Towering over 6 feet tall and weighing up to 100 pounds, emus are formidable creatures. Their sheer size and numbers made them an overwhelming presence. They possess sharp beaks and powerful legs, capable of breaking bones with a single kick. Their strength and agility made them a force to be reckoned with. These were not birds to be trifled with. The farmers, already struggling to survive, now faced a new and unexpected challenge. The emus, with their relentless march, threatened to destroy what little remained of their crops and livelihoods. The emus, with their insatiable appetites, wreaked havoc on the farmers' fields. They devoured crops, trampled fences, and fouled water sources. Wheat, barley, and any other vegetation they encountered were consumed in a flurry of pecking and trampling. The farmers watched in dismay as their hard-won harvests vanished before their very eyes. The situation grew increasingly dire. The emus, protected by law, seemed unstoppable. Desperate pleas for help reached the government in Perth. Farmers, already on the brink of ruin, feared losing everything. The emus, once a mere nuisance, were now a threat to their very survival. News of the emu invasion reached the ears of Sir George Pearce, Australia's Minister of Defence. Faced with mounting pressure from desperate farmers, Pearce made an unusual decision. He would deploy the military against the emus. Soldiers, veterans of the Great War, were armed with Lewis machine guns and dispatched to the Wheatbelt. The objective was simple: eradicate the emu threat. Pierce, perhaps hoping for a public relations victory, even promised the soldiers a generous bounty for every emu killed. The Emu War, as it quickly became known, was about to begin. Section 5. The soldiers' new enemy. Birds, not bandits. The soldiers, accustomed to facing human enemies, found themselves in an unexpected battle. The emus, far from being intimidated by the military presence, proved to be elusive adversaries. They scattered at the first sign of danger, their powerful legs carrying them away at speeds of up to 30 miles per hour. The Lewis guns, designed for trench warfare, were ill-suited for this unconventional enemy. Their rate of fire, while impressive, was often wasted as the emus dodged and weaved through the scrub. The soldiers, sweating under the scorching Australian sun, began to question the wisdom of their mission. Section 6. A comedy of errors, the Emu War begins. The first skirmishes of the Emu War were nothing short of comical. Soldiers attempted to herd the emus into open ground, hoping for a clear shot, but the birds refused to cooperate, scattering in all directions. Machine gun fire ripped through the air, kicking up dust but rarely finding its mark. The emus, seemingly unfazed, continued their relentless march through the fields. Newspaper reporters dispatched to cover the war sent back stories filled with incredulity and amusement. The Emu War, far from being a display of military might, was shaping up to be a public relations disaster. Section 7. Retreat and regroup, a change in tactics. After several days of embarrassing defeats, the soldiers retreated to regroup. Major GPW Meredith, tasked with leading the assault on the emus, was a man accustomed to military discipline and strategic planning. He had not anticipated the cunning of his feathered foes. Meredith, realizing the futility of frontal assaults, devised a new plan. He would ambush the emus at waterholes, where they would be forced to congregate. It seemed like a sound strategy, but the emus, it seemed, were always one step ahead. Section 8. The second assault, another humiliating defeat. The second wave of the Emu War began with a renewed sense of purpose. Soldiers armed with knowledge of the emus' habits lay in wait near waterholes, but the emus, as if sensing the danger, avoided the traps. When they did venture into the open, they proved to be incredibly difficult targets. The emus, it seemed, had the uncanny ability to anticipate the soldiers' movements. They would scatter at the first sign of danger, leaving the soldiers frustrated and demoralized. The Emu War, once a source of national pride, had descended into a farce. Section 9. A war without victors. The emus prevail. By December 1932, with the emu population still thriving and the soldiers' morale at an all-time low, the government called off the war. The emus, triumphant, continued their rampage through the countryside. The soldiers, defeated and ridiculed, returned to their barracks. The Emu War, a testament to human hubris and the unpredictable nature of warfare, was over. The emus, it seemed, had outsmarted their human adversaries. They had won not through brute force, but through resilience, adaptability, and a healthy dose of luck. Section 10. Legacy of the Emu War, a cautionary tale. The Great Emu War, a footnote in Australian history, serves as a cautionary tale. This bizarre conflict, which took place in the early 1930s, saw Australian soldiers armed with machine guns facing off against a formidable foe, the emu. These large, flightless birds native to Australia had become a significant problem for farmers, devastating crops and causing widespread damage. It reminds us that even the most meticulously planned operations can be thwarted by the unexpected. Despite their best efforts, the soldiers found themselves outmaneuvered by the emus, who proved to be surprisingly elusive and resilient. The operation, intended to curb the emu population, quickly turned into a series of embarrassing failures, highlighting the unpredictability of nature. It highlights the importance of adaptability and the need for humility in the face of nature's resilience. The emus, with their speed and agility, adapted to the soldiers' tactics, evading capture and continuing to thrive. This episode serves as a stark reminder that human ingenuity and technology are not always a match for the natural world's adaptability. The emus, those feathered veterans of the war, continue to roam the Australian outback. Their presence is a testament to their resilience and adaptability. Today, they are not just survivors of a peculiar military campaign, but symbols of the enduring spirit of Australia's wildlife. They are a symbol of the country's unique wildlife and a reminder that even in the face of adversity, nature finds a way. The emu's ability to thrive despite human intervention underscores the delicate balance between human activity and the natural world. It is a balance that requires respect and understanding, and perhaps, just perhaps, as they strut across the land, they carry with them a silent chuckle at the expense of those who dared to challenge their dominion. The Great Emu War may have ended in defeat for the humans, but it left behind a legacy of humility and respect for the natural world. The emus, in their quiet way, remind us of the lessons learned from this unusual chapter in history.